Good evening, viewers, and a warm welcome to the news at 10, read to you by Zodwa Dlamini alongside Sikelo Gunene. First, let's take a look at stories making headlines tonight. The Ministry of Justice has presented a law reform and development bill that will establish Law Reform Office and the Law Reform Committee comprising legal experts, stakeholders and representatives to spearhead reforms. The Minister of Health says government prioritizes the life of the elderly, which is why government is doing all she can to ensure that they are well taken care of. Industrial Court Judge Dumsile Faith Dlamini says Eswatini Med will not be held at ransom for actions of its former board chairperson, Semi Dlamini, who failed to convene a board meeting despite requests to do so. The news in detail. The Ministry of Justice has presented a law reform and development bill that will establish a law reform office and the law reform committee comprising legal experts, stakeholders and representatives to spearhead reforms. The bill was presented to Parliament by the Honourable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Prince Simelane.
The Ministry of Justice Portfolio Committee in the House of Assembly, led by Lubamba Member of Parliament Michael Masilela as the chairperson, held a meeting with the Minister of Justice, where the Honourable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs Prince Simelane made the first reading of the Law Reform and Development Bill, followed by a debate from the honourable members.
Kwenda lo msebenzi lo nelitiwo litawu budget lo lokushintsha leminye imithetho kona ngoba phela I think itaba imali lokushintsha lemithetho live ready.
Chair, mina ngicela kubuta ngive minister athi kuleli bandla chairperson itaba li judge or leli retire. Why kube ngeli retire chair sibe sibuka lokho ukuthi phela asekungabuyiswa labantu lasaba retire.
Kuyi sub unit keba lokho sikhulu kangaka selitaba lelitawucela noma ke litawuncikiswa kanti phela sisakhalive sendela ukuthi live libonakala emhlabeni sesizochasta ishisela lapha sikushiselise lapha.
The Honourable Minister responded to the debate.
Jathi nje soletha ke kini nithi infungote ngwenyama ni committee ndathi nukubuka ningasho sifunisene kube unit le etiko biselane emuva lapha upheke kuhlata lento yeno.
He says the Kingdom of Eswatini recognizes the need for a modern, just and efficient legal system that aligns with constitutional principles and international standards. The Honourable Minister also said strong legal frameworks are key to driving economic growth and that laws plays a critical role in attracting investment and ensuring economic stability.
Imithetho ngiyo le ndalive libe nekuthula libe nehlala kahle phakame netemnotho.
He says a sound legal system is not just a matter of justice, but a pillar of sustainable economic development. He says when laws are predictable and fairly applied, businesses are more likely to invest, whereas the Commonwealth will provide technical support to ensure success of this project. Reporting Samgal Siwekoza and Temba Shabangu, Parliament.
The Minister of Health, Honourable Mduduzi Matsebula, says government prioritizes the life of the elderly, which is why government is doing all she can to ensure that they are well taken care of. The minister was represented by the Minister of Housing, Honourable Apollo Mapalala, at Manchonga, where the Minister of Health brought medical treatment to the elderly.
The minister says the elderly are close to the heart of the Queen Mother, which is why their health is prioritized. He says the elderly are like a foundation of any structure because the country has what it has today because of the elderly. He says they were hands-on in building most schools and other structures and taking care of the environment and everything in between. He says it is for that reason that government ensures that they are taken care of and receive proper medical attention despite challenges there and there.
Eswatini is on the right track in meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. UNDP Deputy Representative in Eswatini, Dr. Nessie, says there is still a lot that needs to be done before 2030. She was speaking at the voluntary local review meeting aimed at looking at the progress of Eswatini in meeting the SDGs. The meeting was held at the George Hotel in Manzini on Wednesday.
The voluntary local review program included municipalities, members from the Deputy Prime Minister's office, the health sector, amongst others. The main objective is to discuss how far has Eswatini gone in achieving the stipulated Sustainable Development Goals. Dr. Nessie Nilakaigold from UNDP says Eswatini is doing quite well. However, there's still a lot that still needs to be done.
The progress has been mixed. We've seen some excellent improvements in terms of healthcare, around HIV, around women's participation, but there's still a lot more to be done. We are quite happy that to hear local voices, with municipalities being here to reflect really what is going on in the communities, what are the issues, what are the hardships, and how can they be a part of ensuring that the National Development Plan and indeed the Sustainable Development Goals can be achieved at the community level.
Tapsidem Langani, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development, says they gather stakeholders in order to get their input and how far they are working on the goals.
The main objective here is to ensure that no one is left behind. So that is the special part of the voluntary national review that we are going to have this year. It is integrating the local level. This is not the first time the country is presenting a report to the United Nations on progress on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. The first time was in 2019, and we presented the report the second time in 2022, and this is the third time. We are one of 7 countries in the whole world that are presenting their report for the third time.
The country is currently working on a report which will be presented before the UN. Reporting, I am Kian MCB at the George Hotel in Manzini.
The Honourable Minister of Education, Owen Nxumalo, says that the government, in partnership with the European Union, is expanding educational and cultural opportunities for local higher learning institutions. The Honourable Minister was speaking during an information session of the Erasmus Plus programme with local higher learning stakeholders, where he was represented by the school's manager, Lungelo Nhlengetwa.
The European Union Eswatini office, in partnership with the Ministry of Education and Training, held an information session with the higher education stakeholders on the Erasmus Plus program, which has been developed to meet needs for institutions. The Honourable Minister of Education, Owen Nxumalo, represented by the school's manager, Lungelo Nhlengetwa, said this program responds to the country's drive of inclusive and sustainable education.
It opens the door for our institutions to tap into new opportunities for international collaboration, students and staff mobility, and capacity building. And third, it signals our collective intent to build a more globally connected and competitive education system. Across Europe, Africa, and beyond, Erasmus Plus has empowered young people, strengthened institutions, and built bridges between nations. It is our hope that Eswatini, too, will begin to benefit more meaningfully from this program.
EU Ambassador to Eswatini said this program is aimed at creating entrepreneurial universities in Eswatini.
We as the EU firmly believe in the transformative power of education. And the Erasmus Plus program is a key initiative of our international cooperation in this field. With a budget of over 26 billion euro for the current program cycle, which runs from 2021 to 2027.
Local higher learning institutions will soon exchange programs with universities under the European Union belt. Reporting, Samuel Siwekoza and Temba Shabangu, Mbabane.
Industrial Court Judge Dumisile Faith Dlamini says Eswatini Med will not be held at ransom for actions of its former board chairperson Semi Dlamini, who failed to convene a board meeting despite requests to do so. The judge then issued a ruling that the court can hear the application filed by Eswatini Med seeking a court order to compel the company's manager Peter Samora Simelane to comply with his suspension from duty.
The judge says after reviewing the evidence presented in court, it became clear that convening a meeting is not solely the responsibility of a chairperson, especially when the chairperson fails to call such a meeting. The judge further stated that after chairperson Semi Dlamini failed to call the meeting, the board of directors went ahead and convened the meeting on March 18, 2025. The judge adds that the meeting proceeded and that the number of attendees constituted a quorum. The judge says during that meeting, Peggy Mazia was elected to act as chairperson of Eswatini Med. The judge adds that Mazia was authorized during the meeting to bring the matter before the court. The judge notes that Simelane is challenging his employer's authority to bring the matter to court, but has not challenged the issue of his suspension from work while still receiving his full salary. The judge went on to state that an employer has the authority to investigate misconduct by the employee. The judge says it is not the role of the court to interfere with internal company processes. The judge states that for this reason, Eswatini Med's application to bring the matter before the court is upheld. The judge further adds that the board of directors exercise its powers by convening the meeting held on March 18, 2025. The judge says that a matter that is ongoing at the High Court is not the same as the one before court, as parties involved are not the same. In the High Court matter, the applicant is Business Eswatini and the respondents are Simelane and Chairperson Dlamini. The judge says this differs from the current matter before the Industrial Court, where the applicant is Eswatini Med and the respondent is Simelane. The judge then instructed that the legal representatives should go and consult with their client to confirm whether or not they wish to proceed with the matter in this court. The judge said the lawyers must return by the 5th of next month to inform the court if they are continuing with the matter before this court. Simelane is represented by his lawyer Sabela Dlamini, while Eswatini Med is represented by lawyers Mphilisi Mtshali. Reporting Fortune Dlangamandla, Industrial Court.
Over the past 9 years, winners of the Entrepreneur of the Year awards have generated an impressive turnover exceeding 102 million emalangeni. To understand the significance of these awards in promoting entrepreneurship and economic development, we spoke to Ketsiwe Mema, Communications Officer at the Small Enterprises Development Company, SETCOM.
For 19 years, the Entrepreneur of the Year awards have been transforming the lives of eMaswati by honoring excellence in business. To understand the economic impact of these awards, we spoke with the Small Enterprises Development Company.
EMA winners for Akolili from 2013 to 2024.
The Entrepreneur of the Year awards have been a local game changer for local businesses. Since their inception in 2002, these awards have generated over 102 million emalangeni in turnover and created employment opportunities for 1,326 eMaswati. Over the past 9 years, we have celebrated 162 winners and distributed more than 2.4 million emalangeni in cash prizes. This initiative has not only recognized excellency in entrepreneurship, but also provided a platform for businesses to gain recognition and access to resources that fuel their growth.
The government, through the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, has been a strong supporter of the Entrepreneur of the Year awards. The ministry's endorsement underscores the importance of entrepreneurship in the country's economic development strategy. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
Vuselelo Fagutse, President of Business Eswatini, has stressed the critical need for Eswatini to achieve energy sustainability to attract high-value investors. In a compelling statement ahead of next week's investment conference, Fagutse emphasized that the country's energy sustainability is pivotal to attracting high-value investors. He highlighted that Eswatini's current energy landscape, heavily reliant on imports, underscores the agency for self-sufficiency.
High-value investors are going to come in Eswatini as soon as we're able to generate our own energy. We've had various consultations with them, and they say as soon as you are able to provide us with guaranteed electricity, we'll be able to set up our manufacturing plants in the kingdom. So that is why, as a bank and as a country, we're driving energy growth so that there's more generation of power, because as soon as we get there, we can then start to industrialize agriculture, to industrialize a lot of the Eswatini business sector and private sector, to ensure that we can create the real question that you're asking, which is high-value investors and better paying jobs for Matswati. So it is in our interest to do that. The banking sector is not bad, to be honest. The sugar sector shouldn't be, so there are pockets of excellence in that, but I think we need more industries like that. So we're hoping that this investor conference is going to do that. There are a lot of also mining opportunities that we expect those people to look at in the kingdom. There's lots of tourism activities that the kingdom has to offer. It's a beautiful country. So if we really market it well, the tourism sector can grow significantly. So I think there are a lot of untapped opportunities that we can still explore as a kingdom, but I just think we need to also attract the right investors to ensure that, they can offer more value for money for Matswati.
And now let's take a look at our financial indicators. Standard Bank. In our sports news, the Ministry for Sports has declared its commitment in assisting local students with different sporting programs on how to exercise and keep active regularly. The ministry believes a healthy student is indeed a successful one. This was unveiled during the Eswatini Medical Christian University 12-year celebrations of existence, where the ministry was represented by the Under-Secretary in the ministry, Mzwandile Mthethwa.
The Ministry of Sport, Culture and Youth Affairs is proud to witness higher education institutions like the Eswatini Medical Christian University recognizing sport not only as team-building mechanism, but a platform for making a cohesive Christian community by nurturing youth talent in sport and art. This noble initiative aligns with government's efforts to create opportunities that will enhance self-employment for the youth, particularly in light of the increasing youth unemployment in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Recently, it has been observed that the talents of Eswatini in both sports and art are gaining increased global recognition. Maswati artists and athletes are being afforded opportunities to showcase their skills and compete internationally, helping our young people explore rewarding career paths and bolstering their creative economy. Program Director, allow me to commend the Eswatini Medical Christian University for today's idea, which not only fosters fitness and health, but also recognizes the artistic and athletic talents of both students and staff. Adding to the university's mandate of offering higher education and training to Emaswati in the medical field, social sciences, and ICT.
Before we come to the end of our news tonight, let's take a look at stories that are making headlines in tonight's news bulletin. The Ministry of Justice has presented a law reform and development bill that will establish a law reform office and the law reform committee comprising legal experts, stakeholders and representatives to spearhead reforms. The Minister of Health says government prioritizes the life of the elderly, which is why government is doing all she can to ensure that they are well taken care of. Industrial Court Judge Dumisile Faith Dlamini says Eswatini Med will not be held at ransom for actions of its former board chairperson, Semi Dlamini, who failed to convene a board meeting despite requests to do so. Well, viewers, that's all I have for you from our news desk. Thank you very much for staying with us. Please allow me to leave you with the weather update for tonight and tomorrow. Otherwise, from myself, Zodwa Dlamini, and the rest of the transmission team, good night.